All right, let's start with the Rangers, who are having a great season so far, hovering near the top seed in the Eastern Conference. But despite their success, they still have some pretty long odds to win the Cup at plus 2,500. So if the Rangers' success continues this season, that number will surely go down. So is it worth jumping on that big number right now, Geoff?
Yeah, the Rangers are a really, really kind of interesting team. I mean, they're obviously doing well in the standings, and it's hard to argue against that. But they've been relying on a formula of solid defense and really hot goaltending. Now, at the outset, you say, well, that wins championships, but they've been pretty bad 5-on-5. Like, they actually have the fourth worst expected goal rate 5-on-5. Now, that kind of got me turned off from them at the start. I do think this is a team, though, if they add anyone at the trade deadline and just improve that bottom six a bit. Like, Igor Shesterkin is playing out of his mind this year. He's definitely in there for the Vezina. He's got a .936 save percentage and a 15-4-2 record. I think Shesterkin, even if he cools off a bit and the Rangers' offense improves, I think they will be just fine. And once you get into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, I just don't think there's much between the Rangers and some of these other top teams. I mean, I think the top 7 teams are all very equal. So this is a roundabout way of me saying, yeah, I really don't mind betting the Rangers at long shot odds. I kind of like the Penguins as well, but the Rangers you're getting better value on for the conference as well. They're plus 1,200. So yeah, I think the Rangers, this is definitely the time to buy. If you're a believer in this team, you think they can improve just even a little bit on offense, this is the time to buy, because this season from Shesterkin especially, it just seems like, it's kind of like one of those dream scenarios. So.
Well, Geoff, like the Islanders are a different story here. They've got a double-digit gap between them and the playoff race. Really disappointing, especially after that playoff run last year. However, because of missing multiple games due to COVID issues, they do have multiple games in hand on the schedule compared to the rest of the conference. So what are you doing with plus 350 odds to make the postseason?
Yeah, so, I mean, I do think the Islanders, like, you can't rule them out. I mean, I know it just looks like they're so far behind, but like you said, they have 9 games in hand against the Washington Capitals. And, I think the biggest thing is you look at the Eastern Conference standings, and it's not necessarily that the Islanders can't go on a run, but it's like, who is going to drop down from the top 8? We just talked about the Rangers, the Penguins, the Bruins, the Capitals. These are all quality teams. You're going to need one of them to dip down. And I think that this is important for betting, because I think you actually get better odds on betting on one of those teams not to make the playoffs than necessarily betting on the Islanders. Like, the Islanders are solid defensively. Really, they just need their shooters to get hot, and they could go on like an 8-game win streak. This team has made the playoffs in each of the last 3 seasons. It could certainly happen, but you're getting better odds on a team like the Capitals not to make the playoffs at plus 850. And I do think the Capitals are a team that could be in for a little bit of trouble here in the second half. Even when they've been healthy, they've struggled in the net at times, and they really haven't been healthy. They're more of a veteran team. They've dealt with more injuries, I think, than other teams as well. So I'm looking at a team like the Capitals to potentially regress. And if you do like the Islanders, you can take them to make the playoffs. I don't think plus 350 is egregious, but I would rather bet on the Capitals not to make the playoffs than the Islanders to make the playoffs, if that makes sense.
All right, real quick on this last one, Geoff, take a look at some player futures. There's an interesting one on the top of the board for top regular season goal scorer, otherwise known as the Rocket Richard Trophy. A lot of familiar names on here, but one surprise is Ranger Chris Kreider. So he already has more than 20 goals on the season. His career high is just 28 goals, but at plus 3,000, could he be a sneaky pick here?
If you're looking for a player over plus 2,000 in the odds, Kreider is probably the player I would actually target. Rangers are very top heavy in scoring. He's a great power play producer, and they have a great power play. But keep in mind, Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, they have 3 games in hand over Kreider. It's probably not going to happen. If you're looking to sprinkle a little bit of big odds, though, Kreider would be the guy to target.